All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Oskar Blues Brewery, and they're out of Longmont, Colorado, and this is their Old Chub. So this is a Scotch Ale that comes in at 8% alcohol by volume, 30 IBUs at the time of review. This can is just under 4 months old. So, fun fact, this is the first ever Scotch Ale I had in my life. Quick story time, but I've mentioned them on the channel numerous times, but my favorite local bottle shop of choice is Premier Gourmet. They're located in Amherst, New York. If you're ever in the Amherst area, definitely check them out. One of the best import sections, but just they have tons of beer there. They used to be located in the town of Tonawanda, and when I first got into craft beer, I would go to that location. Then they moved to the Amherst location a few years later. But I remember the beer manager there, Ethan, who is still the beer manager at the current location. I would ask his opinions on a lot of different styles and beers when I was getting into craft beer because he obviously knows what he's talking about and I didn't. And he was like, you should try this one out. See what you think about Scotch ales. Back then I would tell him all the time, like, I don't really like bitter beers. I like more of the sweet malty beers. And he's like, all right, try some Scotch ales. And this was the first one he recommended to me, and I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was the first Scotch ale I ever had, and I really liked it. And ever since then, I've really enjoyed Scotch ales. So it's been a long time since I've had this one. It's been at least 5 years, could be longer. And yeah, I just wanted to give this one a go. So here we are. Anyway, I believe they use just a smidge of beechwood-smoked malt in this one, but outside of that, it's just a Scotch ale. No adjuncts, nothing going on, just a Scotch ale. Anyway, let's crack this one open. Been on my fridge for about a half an hour, so we should be good temperature-wise. And yeah, let's give it a pour. Yeah, that's looking exactly how I thought it was going to look. We're going to pour the entire thing just because this glass is pretty big. So yeah, that looks absolutely beautiful, to be honest with you. So on camera, it's probably going to look pitch black because camera is apparently darker, but in person, this deep mahogany into like this really rust color, it's fucking super deep, like almost like toffee color. It looks fantastic in person. It looks like a Scotch Ale. It has about a finger and a half of this straight up tan colored head, maybe like a toffee colored head, like a light toffee. Honestly, it just looks fantastic. And yeah, not much more to say. Let's get a nose on it. The malty goodness that a Scotch Ale provides is something I love. So there is so much like caramel, toffee, butterscotch, just like tons of like sweeter, like burnt sugars and whatnot. But then I always get out of like 99% of the Scotch Ale I drink this really nice like dark fruit note. And it's like typically to me, it's like a sweet dark cherry. I'd say that a lot when it comes to like quads, Belgian strong darks, things of that nature, English barley wines, but in here, very prominent. There's also a little bit of like a darker chocolate or like cocoa. A little bit of molasses. Man. There's a smokiness here too, but it's not too big. Like they use, like I said, the lightly, a little bit of that like beechwood-smoked malt. Scotch ales typically have a smokiness to them, but it's not too big. Now I'm starting to get like raisins and dates, almost like caramel coated, like dark fruit. It smells fantastic. I could just sit here and smell this. I don't review a lot of them, and I definitely should review more, but not a lot of breweries brew Scotch ales. Like you have Founders does their Backwoods Bastard, and they do their Dirty Bastard, which is the regular Scotch ale, and then the bourbon barrel aged kind of version of that. There's a couple others out there. There's an English one that I can't remember the name of it. A couple imported ones, but for the most part, there's not a lot of Scotch ales out there. And there should be, because it's fucking fantastic, and I love it. Yeah, it smells awesome. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Man, that's nice. Man, it's so nice. The thing about Scotch ales is if you do not like malt forward or malty beers, you're just not going to like the style because it's so malt heavy and malt driven that it's kind of hard to enjoy something like this. If you're like a hophead, you love hazy IPAs, you love West Coast style IPAs, and you hate malt in your beer or tasting the malt, I should say, because most beers have malt, like almost all of them. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like so different, right? So it's so malt forward, but I love it. Body on this one, higher side of medium, lower side of full. It's not thick, but for an 8% beer, it's appropriate. The mouthfeel, it has carbonation. It's nicely carbonated, properly carbonated, but it's really soft and smooth on the palate as well. Very easy to drink, so body mouthfeel are quite nice. The taste though, the nose kind of follows suit. Tons of burnt sugars. It's caramel, it's toffee, it's butterscotch. Very sweet malt character. A little bit of like a little bit of a honey. I was gonna say honey drizzled something, but I'm just gonna say it's honey. That hits me at the forefront. That's pretty much what I get. Pass it through a little bit of that smokiness, kicks in a little bit, just a smidge, and then I'm getting a little bit of like a dusting of like cocoa, and then the dark fruits start to emerge, and it's sweet dark cherry, it's figs, it's plums, but they're like I said, they're like a caramel drizzle type of nature. Mid palate, I am hit with a slight earthy, like floral sensation, very minute, but there. And then it finishes semi-dry. These don't have really much bitterness at all. There's almost no bitterness to the beer. It finishes dry enough though to stop the sweetness. Like if that dryness didn't hit me on the back of the palate, yeah, this would be a very fucking sweet beer. It'd be cloying to some degree. But it's not. It actually turns into a very balanced beer because, you know, the first half, maybe the first 2/3 of the palate, very sweet, all that malt character. On the back of the palate, that dryness hits, and you're just like, okay, it was going to be super sweet, 9 more. So it's quite balanced as well. 8%, there's no fucking way I could tell you this is 8% outside of the body and like the intensity of the flavors. But like, as far as like an alcohol astringency or like, can I detect it on the palate? No fucking way. Yeah, this is a really good Scotch Ale. It's fucking tasty. I should kick myself directly in my ass for not picking this up more often. It's just a really fucking good beer. And one that I definitely should, definitely 100% should buy this more often. So that's on me. Not much more to say about it. Like I said, if you don't really like malt forward beers or you're not a huge fan of Scotch ales in general, I can't see you enjoying this one. But this is a malt lover's dream. Like, it has so much malt complexity, and despite like not really any hop character to speak of, it has that dryness to still make it balanced to some degree, so it's not too sweet and not too overbearing. But I love all the malt characters. I like all the sweet, you know, burnt sugars, dark fruits, and everything. It's just fucking, it's a great beer. And I like that little touch of smokiness too. Really just adds and accentuates all the rest of the flavor. So Old Chub from Oskar Blues, I'm gonna give this a high 4.25. I'm gonna go 4.35 out of 5. Almost gets in the low 4 or 5 range. It's just a very well-made Scotch Ale, and there's not much more to say about it. Price and availability, price point, I believe, and somebody out there correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe these are sold in 4-packs, even though they're in 12-ounce cans. And I think, well, I'll tell you this. I paid $2, and I think it was like $2.59 for this can. So if it's in a 4-pack, which I believe it is, it's probably like $10 for a 4-pack. If it's in a 6-pack, probably $15. But regardless, for $2.59 for a beer of this quality, 8%, yeah, fucking all day. Price point is fantastic. Availability, wherever you see Oskar Blues, you should see this beer because this is like one of their core beers, and it's fantastic. I think they did a nitro version of this, I want to say a couple years ago, and I should have picked that up. Hopefully they do it again. I'd love to see this nitro. I mean, it's already soft and smooth enough and doesn't have a ton of carbonation, but I'd like to see this on nitro. I think it would kick it up a notch and probably get it in the 4 or 5 range for me. But a lot of times nitro takes away from the intensity of the flavors and the aroma, so who knows. But yeah, I should have tried this one when it was a nitro. I fucked up. What are you going to do? So if you've had this one before, and I'm sure a lot of you have had this one before, this is like a classic American craft beer. So if you have had it before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it, because I say that a lot, but yeah, I'd love to hear people's feedback on this beer, especially if you're not a malt lover and you've had this one before. I'd imagine you don't think it's all that good, but yeah, I think it's great. So appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.